Okay, for your net problems, I think that's 8 to 12. I think. Um, Basically, just kind of break it down to a smaller type of problem, a simpler problem, not smaller problem. Like if it's a net, if it's flat, deal with your lateral area and your surface area. It's easier if you break them up into to find the area of each face instead of doing the formula, because the formula might confuse you. So, for example, um, identify your base is always still the first thing, and our triangles are the base here. Okay, and so to find the area of a base of a triangle, that is 1/2 base times height. So I'm really just doing my base and height are the perpendicular parts, which are this 4 here, which we know corresponds with this 3. So our 4 times 3, and then divide by 2. So yeah, 6. So our area of our triangles are 6 units squared. So when I get to the lateral area, your lateral area are these rectangles, everything but the bases. So if I look, this top rectangle here, the length is 6x. Make sure you remember if it's a rectangle, opposite sides are congruent. So that would also be 6x. Opposite side, that would be 6x. So we have a 6x by, we need to know the width here. I'm hoping you see that width matches up with that height of our triangle. So that would be 4. So this becomes 24x squared. That's the area of that face. Now we need to do the area of our middle face. And we know the length is 6, so I need this missing part here, the hypotenuse. It's a 3, 4, 5 triple. There we go. So this would be 30x. Now I just got to do the last face. Hopefully we see that this edge corresponds with the 3. So this would be 18x. So my lateral area basically is just the sum of those faces. So I'm just going to do my 24x plus the 30x plus the 18x, which gives me 72x. And then to do the total surface area, I'm taking that lateral area, which we know is 72x, plus our two bases, which is 12. Okay, so that's what you kind of have to do for this one. And I kind of gave you a clue. Um, Make sure we understand if it's 5x here, then that is also 5x. You can do Pythagorean theorem to find your missing hypotenuse. It is a triple. Some of you have already saw that. So try to break it into each individual face, add them up to get the sum of the lateral, and then the total sum, which I gave you. On 10 and 11, now it's in a three-dimensional shape. Okay, so now you want to use the formulas. So formula for a lateral area is pH plus 2b. So get in the habit of doing your perimeter. This 7 is representing a radius. So make sure you understand I could do it here or just create the diagonal. So basically here's a square base. If that is 14, this happens if it's a square. 45, 45. So you're coming up with the sides so you can get to that B. Because the area of the base would be whatever the side is squared. I don't know if you can recognize that, but whatever your side is for a square, if you square it, that gives you the area. Now on 11, your base is a parallelogram, so just remember that the base of a parallelogram has to be perpendicular to the height. There's your box as a clue. Your base of your parallelogram has to be perpendicular to the height of the parallelogram. You still need to find your perimeter times the height of your prism. The height of your prism is always the distance between the bases. So that's your H for the formula. So kind of break it down into parts, plug in the formula, use the formula for 10 and 11, I believe. And then when you get to the next section, yeah, 10, 11, when you get to this next section here, you're going to have to recognize that the rectangle of this cylinder is the lateral area. So I went ahead and labeled that. Your bases are your circles here. So if you're going to find the area of a circle, you're doing pi r squared. So the part that's missing, and I'm just going to kind of draw it here, would be your radius. You're missing that. But because, and I'm going to redo this and highlight it, because I have this distance, this part of our lateral area corresponds to what part of the circle? I was to fold it back up. Yeah, it corresponds with the circumference going around the circle. So because I know the circumference, and I'm going to abbreviate that, is 8 pi, then I know it equals to the circumference formula, which is 2 pi r. Now I can solve for my radius so I can get my area of my base just by dividing by 2 pi. Pi's cancel out. So I know that the radius of my circle is 4. And by having that, now I can get to my total surface area because I need that for that part. All right, so the lateral is just taking 2 pi r, the circumference times the height, or we could just figure out that we're using the rectangle, which is the base times the height, or the length times the width, which I believe was 2. Yeah, so we can just simplify that. Instead of worrying about the formula, go straight to using your rectangle. So we have 16 pi. Now, we do need to find our b, because we need that for the total surface area. And when you get to the square pyramid here, you do have some hints in the fact that the 8 here represents the height, and that we have a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So our missing piece here represents the slant height. I can use my special right triangle to get to that and plug it in, because now it's in a three-dimensional representation, so we can use the formula here. It's not a net. But when you get here, we're going to have to do some problem solving, working backwards. So just kind of use your partial key for hints and just try your best on this. I'm not really going to explain this, but if you need help and you don't get to, and the partial key doesn't help you, please come to tutorials. Thanks.